The 3 pillars to choose the right violin. That's what we're going to look inside today. Stay tuned and I explain you step by step how to figure out what's your idol instrument. Hello back again. This is Edgar from Cremona, Italy. I'm working every day just on violins, viola, cello, bass. What I'm talking here about is for all instruments. Now, recently there showed up a lot of customers from worldwide, from Australia, UK, America, Canada, wherever, Asia, and they all are dreaming of getting the right instrument. Before you just think what to get, the first step, the first pillar is how much are you willing to spend for it? Usually you always want to spend as little as possible, but to get the maximum for that money. So mainly people say, I think the customer yesterday said, from 5 to 10,000, and then actually he went out and paid much more because he just had this chance to see what he gets for the money and what it actually takes to build an instrument. And from a certain step up, there is just a big difference. Now, the lowest grade instruments are machine made and they start from here at the bookshop in front. They sell instruments for $49.99 and they had these violins here years ago. Now I would rather go and then on eBay or whatever and then you get it. Once you're over all these very economic things and you finally want to get a better instrument, it's also a little bit mental, but there are good instruments made in China, in Germany, in Romania, but usually these lower grade instruments of these countries have somehow in the violin making a certain step of all these grades. Once you're over that and you just want now a better instrument, we're talking from 5,000 up or 4,000, you get a Scala Perfetta already from my workshop. You slowly come into more and more handmade instruments. And there then is the question, do you want to have a workshop instrument which plays well, everything okay? Or are you willing to pay a little bit more for a handcrafted instrument which is made by a single person and then it has a certificate? Things like this are then certainly important. If your budget is much higher, you go to the best makers in town, you qualify for one of my master violins, and if this is not enough, or you get a decorated instrument from mine, or you jump right into antique instruments, which is again a different business. Again, I'm not famous for dealing with antique instruments. I usually want to know what I'm selling, so that's why I just sell my own things. The second pillar to choose the right instrument is definitely the design. And now you say, what? The design? Yes. Is it a Stradivari, a beautiful Stradivari, or is it a rough Guarnieri? Or do you want to have something very particular like a Testore, a Galliano, a Guadagnini? Things like this, all these are definitely important steps. So you have to take a little bit of time to look what you find. And sometimes if you find something and you have already in your back mind that you would love to get a nice instrument, it's a little bit like choosing a new car. Do you want a convertible, or do you want to bring the family around and you want a nice Volkswagen bus? You have to sort that out. Violin is not violin, cello is not cello, and so on. Yeah. Once you have that out, figured out, there's also into this second pillar, the look. Also, if it's regularly varnished, if it's slightly antiqued, if it's rough antique, if it's brown, red, yellow, all these things should be clarified. If you have some ideas how the wood should look like, one piece, two piece, large flame, thin, small flame, all these things, the more details you know already, the easier it will be to find the right instrument. So take your time and visualize what you're dreaming of, and the clearer your picture of what you're dreaming of, the better you will just find exactly that. A universe is very, very intelligent. It just gives you what you have in your mind, okay? The third pillar I will tell you after you have subscribed to this very nice channel. It's so much information and you don't have to pay for it. The last pillar of choosing the instrument is actually, for me, the most important, the sound. And connected to this are the previous two pillars, the budget and the design, the model we're talking about. Because the sound certainly cannot be obtained by every model, every sound. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any reason that there is a Stradivari, a Guarnieri, a Testore, and so on. There is also, for professionals, now, there's even a mosquito here going around. Professional musicians have very clear ideas how an instrument should sound. They're already kind of, we don't call it now spoiled, but certainly they're already in a certain dimension. It would be like a Formula One driver sits into a regular, boring sports car. And it says, damn, here we have to make all the shocks and everything new to get it in race conditions, right? For us normal citizens, a nice sports car is already, wow, it's so tough and so sporty, yeah? And for these professionals, this is already like toy. So what for one is something super trooper, for the other one is just the beginning where he started, yeah? The sound needs to be looked a little bit closer. But for most people, my advice would be to describe the sound you would love to have. And especially on my violin configurator, I made it that way that I tell you a few words to describe the sound. This would be one option. Or which string is for you the most important? The E string, the A string could be, or the D, or the G. Some people don't mind about the G and the D. They just go on A and E. Some are only focused on the E string. If the E string is not powerful, the rest isn't important, but the E string. So things like this can be adjusted beside that the character of sound, rough, beautiful, lots of overtones, things like this. That's a little bit of the pillar of the model, of the design, of the make. Yeah. So with these things, once you sit down and you write it down, you get a clearer picture of what you actually want. And this is then something you can send to violin makers like me, or also to others, and then they can prepare. And so then when you show up, then you can see how good they were to put your requirements, your ideal requirements into an instrument which they prepare for you. So when you come to Cremona, then you stop by one and another one, and then you compare, and then you say, wow, that's exactly how I wanted it, or it's even better. This would be the ideal case, yeah? Or the violin maker is willing to adjust the sound with you together, and you just play it and say, yes, this is nice, like this, I like this, I like that, I don't like this, and I would like to increase, let's say, this string or that one. And that's something a good violin maker should be able to do so. Some people don't even waste their time, they just say every violin will sooner or later find its customer, and they don't adjust, and they don't even want to work with, how they call it, with musicians. For me, you have chosen the wrong work if you're a violin maker and you don't want to work with musicians. It's just the beauty of my work. It's everything I'm working comes together to work finally with a musician just like you, and I'm waiting here to welcome you. And we sort out these three pillars to choose the right instrument just for you. I hope you enjoyed this video very much, and you tell your friends that they should see this specific video. It's actually this impossible mission, you know, these three things. If you spend less, you have less quality, and you get not exactly the model you want. You want exactly that model, you have to spend a little bit more, and then it will sound a little bit like this. But it's always a little bit a fragile. Every pillar depends on the other one, yeah? It's like, imagine like a building with these three pillars and a roof on it, and you low down one, the roof is inclining, and if it's too much, the whole building will break together. They're connected one to each other. And certainly, if you wanted very, very high pillars with a nice roof on straight, stable for any storm, then you have to certainly put out more money. Yeah, this is a little bit the key point, but it doesn't always mean that for only a lot of money you get a super great instrument. You can already get for a very reasonable price, I think, something handmade in Italy, in Cremona, from an existing person which is working, and you can even see and double check, you can touch, you can choose the material and everything, and this is a nice shopping experience which lasts for your life. And after all, you can only regret what you didn't do, right? Thanks for watching. See you next time.